goes. All right, good people. So this next part is a continuation of our proportional reasoning. Scale drawings is similar figures. Okay, so this is another part of this that's going to be on the quiz. If you did the study island already, excuse me, if you did the freckle assignment already, you probably already seen some questions like this. Okay, all right. So the first part of this is talking about corresponding angles, and then we're going to do corresponding sides. Okay, I'll try to, is this big enough on the screen? Okay, I'll try to highlight some of this stuff so y'all can see. Okay, first part. Okay, it says angle L. Okay, now y'all gonna have to know this for seventh grade as well. Okay, when you see this kind of sign, that's another way of basically saying angle. Okay, mine is a lot uglier than theirs, but I wrote it with my finger. So when you see this first one, it says angle L responds to. Okay, this, I'm gonna put a arrow, is a scale copy of your larger shape. Okay, so when it's saying this first one, L corresponds to, whatever is your answer or your correspondent would have to be coming from here. Okay, can somebody help me out when it says angle L corresponds to, you can say it. Anybody? Which angle does it respond to? I think somebody said it. It's M. Okay. Yes, yep, you got it. It's angle M. Let's see how this looks. All right, what about angle O? Okay. Angle V. And then angle E. All right, good peoples. That is like the ugliest H I've ever written. Let's try it again. All right. So corresponding sides. This is another important part. Okay, and I like how it's kind of just started at a basic level. So when we're looking at correspondence or MA is here. So that's my larger shape. So my larger shape was correspond to my smaller shape. So side MA will correspond to what? Okay, and if you notice, so for angle, we use this sign here. When you're using a line, you would put it above whatever it is that your size, excuse me, that your side is. So y'all say LO, I'll put a line and I'll put LO like that. Okay, and it's good to kind of just get a basic understanding of what some of this stuff is so that then once they add in some other things, it's a little bit easier. What about corresponding side AT? Okay, so that would be your length here. So this one and this one. Angle TH corresponds with, I would say it's VE because T is after H, but it comes before H anything. So V is after E. So we say VE. And then what about HM? LE. So it says, oh, HM it'd be EL. I'm sorry. EL. Good job. Okay. Seems like everybody got that, which was pretty basic. All right. So if we move it down, just going to add a little bit more to this. Okay, just kind of like when we was dealing with proportions, ratios, it's a couple different ways that we can do this. Okay, you can set up a proportion using your similar size. So for instance, if I look at this side, if I say LE is similar to what? MH. So I could literally put those equal to each other. So I could say 4 equal 2 equals 4. Okay, then if I can do my corresponding angles, I see I got a 3 here. So that's LO corresponds with MA. So if I was to put 3 here, X, set up a proportion, right? What's the first thing I got to do to answer the proportions? Okay, 3 times 4, and then I do 12 divided by 6. I said that so wrong. 12 divided by 2. It's 6. Okay, so my scale factor, this is another thing. So do y'all see? And actually, what we just found was not our scale factor. Pardon me. We just found this, which was 6. Okay, now, can somebody tell me how would I find my scale factor? You don't necessarily have to. So you already, so once we've got all the numbers right that we need, all you got to do is just divide them, guys. So if I do 4 divided by 2, it's 2. If I do 6 divided by 3, it's 2. Okay. Anytime that you are going from a smaller size to a larger size, okay, that's going to be a whole number. Anytime you're going from a larger to a smaller one, it'll be division. It'll end up being a fraction. So this one would be 2. Okay. Somebody had a question. And you can say 2 over 1, but you just can keep it as 2. Okay. All you got to do is it's basically like if this is 2, if I go from 2 to 4, I multiply it times 2, or you can think of it as 4 divided by 2. Okay. Once you get all of your sides, or once you have equivalent sides, you pretty much can just divide to find the scale factor. All right. I'm gonna pause this for a second. See if y'all can figure out what this is. Give us maybe like 5 minutes, 5, 6 minutes. First thing you want to do, see if you can figure out what this is for X. Once you figure out what that is for X, see if you can find your scale factor. Like I said, I'm gonna pause it for a second. I'll walk around. See if you can get that. If you need to work with a partner, you can, or you can try to see if you can do it by yourself. What we just did it the first couple. Once you doing the same thing. Okay, it's similar shapes. The cool thing about this one is it's even they're faced the same way. Couple of things. I'm going from a larger to a smaller. So my scale is going to be a what? A fraction. Okay. If you go from a larger one to a smaller one, that means you're dividing. Okay. So couple of things. I see that I have that I can use. I see that I have this here with AS. AS is equivalent to what? It's equivalent to EL. Okay. So yes, you could. You could set up a proportion. So I could have did, if I did want to set up a proportion, could have did 21 equals 7, just based off of these two. Okay. Now, it's a couple of other ones that I see on here. So like for instance, I'm gonna use a different color for this one. I see that I have 24, okay, which is SI. SI is similar to what? LU. You can put those equal to each other so that I can find X. Okay, so if I want to set up a proportion using similar sides, this is one that I could use. 24, then we got X. Okay. Somebody real quick, what's 24 times 7? It's 168. Okay, and then 168 times, or excuse me, 168 divided by 21 is 8. Okay, so that's one way I could have got 8 for X. Okay, another way that I could have done that, say that if you're not somebody that likes set up proportions, I love proportions. You can set up proportions for pretty much a lot of these different problems. Say if you're a person, okay, I'm still struggling with proportions. I have a lot of numbers. Okay, guys, I'm gonna erase this real quick, and I'm gonna show you, you don't even have to set up a proportion when you have numbers like this. So if I'm looking, and we already said AS is equivalent to EL. Okay, so if I go from 21 to 7, what did I do? I didn't multiply. You divided by what? Okay, so if I did 21 divided by 3 is 7, okay, that would give that means that I divided by 3. So if I did 24 and I divided it by 3, what would that give me for x? That's you're gonna literally get the same answer. Okay. So for one, that's how I could either set up a proportion to get that, or if I just pay attention to my similar size, I can figure out the scale factor. What's the scale factor? Hmm. It's 1/3. Okay. And why is it 1/3 instead of 3? Because I'm going from a larger shape to a smaller shape. Okay. If I was going from a smaller shape to a larger one, then yes, you would multiply. Okay. All right. This is probably the because we done did this a couple times and I've showed y'all those different ways that you can do it. You need to pick. If you better at setting up the proportions, you can do that. Okay. If you better at kind of identifying what's a pattern or identifying a scale, then you can do that. But there's two different ways that you can do those. Sure. Okay. I'm gonna let y'all do this page. I'm gonna let y'all do this one for number one and number two because that's just similar size. Okay. Let's see if we can do number three. All right. So it says the following figures are similar. State the scale factor, set up a proportion, and find the missing side. So it's a couple of different things that we have to do. Okay. Um, Now, in terms of setting up a proportion, let's maybe start with that. Okay, so I can see 12 is equivalent to my 3. Okay, another word for equivalent is equal, so I can put those equal to each other. So if I said 12 is equal to 3, starting with my first shape, okay, now, same thing with similar sides. I would say 20 is equivalent to x. So using this, I've set up a proportion. What's the first thing I got to do? So 20 times 3, and then 60 divided by 12. Okay, so that's x equals 5. Okay. Now, based off of that, okay, if I'm looking at this, I can find my scale factor. What's my scale factor? Hmm. So if I go from 12 to 3, what did I do? I divided by 4. If I go from 20 to 5, what did I do? I divided by 4. So what's my scale factor? It's I went from a larger shape to a smaller shape. It's 1/4. All right. If I'm looking at 4, once again, just pay attention to your similar size. Okay, I'm as a matter of fact, hold on a second. I'm gonna let y'all do that one. I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna because this one is one that I was kind of looking for. Okay, this is when they do get a little bit challenging when it's kind of like 6, 7, and 8. Okay, now sometimes you'll be given similar shapes, similar triangles, similar shapes. You'll be given similar shapes, and then you'll have to flip them. Okay, so sometimes what I'll say is before you even start it, go ahead and flip your shapes so they can look the same. So if I'm looking, this one is pointing to my right with my 6 and 8. So maybe I can make this one do the same thing for my larger one. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So if I was to flip it so that it can correspond with the one right next to it, okay, if you notice, this is my base, which is on the bottom. Okay, so this would be X. Okay, now where would my 48 be? My 48 would be here. Now, just by doing that simple thing, I made this a lot easier, okay, because they're similar shapes. So when you have your similar shapes, you're gonna want them to be facing similar ways. Now, if you are a visual person, some people are visual people, and you don't have to do that, that's fine. But I'm saying that's just what I typically do. If I'm doing similar shapes and they're not flipped the same way, I would do that first. Okay. once again, once you have your similar shapes, okay, then you want to find your similar sides. So I'm looking at X corresponds with what? So I can put those equal to each other. And then if I'm looking, I see 48 corresponds with 8. Okay, so I'll have to start um with 48 times 6. You said it's what? And then if I divide that by 8, so then that means that this would have been 36. Okay, so um what would be my scale factor for this one, good people? Good. So if I go from 48 to 8, I divide it by 6, right? If I go from 36 to 6, I divide it by 6. I'm going from a larger shape to a smaller shape. That means that it's going to be a fraction. It's 1/6. Okay. All right. I'll give y'all a second to write that one down. A couple of things. Let's see what I want y'all to kind of work on right now. Uh-oh, my bad. I'll give y'all a second to write that down if you're still doing it. Um, Once I take this off the screen, I'll let y'all know which ones I kind of want y'all to do for homework. Bring that back to me tomorrow. We good? All right. So let me take that off real quick. So I want y'all to do this page. So what's this? So we did wait, we didn't do this one. So you need to do this page, complete this page, and then complete this page. So basically make sure you get numbers, what's that? 1 through 8, and then just complete this one on this page. Okay. Make sure you got that. Bring that back to me tomorrow. Let's keep it going, good peoples.